Hi, I am KTM on two wheels, and today I'll be test driving the Honda CB650F. So we have here the CB650F and its sister, the 650FA. They're basically the same. I'm going to test drive that one because this one isn't available for test drive, but I prefer the looks on this one. So, what is this? Let's do the quick walk around here at Lopsy Lopsh. And front to back. Front tire is a 120 width tire, as is usual. Rear one is a 180, which is not very common, but in this range it's usually 160, but hey, whatever floats your boat. Then you've got regular suspension, double wavy disc brakes, which, like the NC700X's, are the outside of the rear disc brakes. The calipers are just only a single thingy. Regular suspension, a beautiful matte finish. Not sure if you can see that, it's a little dusty. That's one huge ass radiator, and its party piece. Just look at these four collectors, they just look absolutely awesome. However, washing this bike will prove a bit bothersome, because when this starts going rusty, it's going to be a pain to clean, but damn, it looks good. Engine is a 650cc engine developing around 87 horsepower. So that's actually weird, because the previous engine was 600 cc's and developed 100 from the Hornet. This one's bigger, develops less. Why? Apparently they spread the power more evenly, so it's easier to ride, and I can't wait to try it. I'm not actually going to try this one. The actual bike is outside on a test drive, but this way I can cut some time. Rear brake reservoir, adjustable rear, single shock absorber with these notches are for the suspension setting. Single rear disc brake. This one does not have ABS. If it had a little ring in here. A beautiful swing arm, and I really like the way the exhaust is tucked underneath. Looks really good, just like the XJ6 I tried. I like the look of that. Big fat chain and chain guards. Rubberized foot pegs. I now understand why these are like so, not like so, because this way it absorbs vibrations on your feet. This doesn't, but I like these minimalistic ones. Oh, the horn is down there, well hidden away. That's just about it on the bike. I'll show you the startup when I really start the test drive. And the black one has a beautiful matte finish. Look at this. It's fantastically well built. This is a properly well built machine. The seat has a texture, doesn't slip. The grips are just about standard, normal for Honda, just like my NC700. I wouldn't be surprised if this was the same part that equips the PCX in damn nearly all of them. The bar ends are a bit simple. And this is a normal handlebar. This whole section seems to be lifted straight out of the NC700, because it really looks just like the same dash as on the CBR. Now let's just look very quickly at the CBR. Difference from this to the CBR is basically it's the same bike, okay? Everything's the same, except you now have clip-ons instead of handlebars. Same dash, even though that dash is a bit forward up and this one's a bit lying down. And since you have clip-ons, you're going to be lying down a bit further. That's the only difference between the two. Everything else is the same. Oh, obviously the mirrors are different. Duh. And you have the fairing. So that's why I like this one. It looks better. Even though you're seated a bit more leaning forward. First impressions. It is retardedly easy to ride. It's beginning to get... I'm beginning to find this is a trait with Hondas. You just pick them up and go. Awesome. Throttle is a bit more sensitive than I was expecting, though. You can see me jolting back and forth a bit every now and then. But it's not too much. It's just that I'm not used to it first. As soon as I get used to it, it'll be perfect. It's not MT09-ish. It's just normal. See? No more issues with the throttle. So the thing about this engine, the detune down to 87 horsepower instead of the 100 from the previous smaller engine, the idea is giving it more power throughout the whole rev range. And so let's test that. I'm now in I don't know what gear, because this does not have a gear indicator. I'm just going to do one thing. Accelerate now. Okay. Onboard computer says I have 21.5 liters. Impossible. 500 clicks in total. Trip A, trip B. I'm doing now 3.8. 3.8. Or is this the... I'm going to reset this. 4. This is the instant consumption. I'm doing 4 now. That's awesome. Oh, that's the average. I'm going to reset it. Reset. Okay. Average is now reset. Let's keep an eye on that. Although it's not visible because these two tubes are covering part of the dash, which is a bit annoying, but not an issue. They're not actually covering any of the numbers, just the corner of it. It's just annoying me. So now let's test this. I'm in 6th gear. 50 kph 6th gear. How many bikes can do this? 50 kph or 60, 6th gear, 2,500 RPM. Speed limit here is 50, so I'm down to 50. In 6, this is definitely not very normal. And full throttle now. Okay, now it's going. It's just gutless under 3,000 RPM. So I have to say, I really like this engine. It's right up my alley. It's got power everywhere. Under 2 doesn't really like it, but it doesn't complain. It just goes slowly. But seriously, who rides a motorcycle under 2,000 RPM? I do, because I have one that likes that, but it's not very normal. This is the revs it should be at 4, 4, 5, and just look at this at 4. I don't know what gear I'm in. It doesn't really matter. Let's go down 1 and throttle. Did take a hint to start, but it goes. Oh, this is nice. I feel slight vibrations on my hands, not too much. And it's only around 4,000, then it kind of subsides. Now, and then it stops. No, whoa, 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 dude, don't pull out. And it's silky smooth. I like this engine, I really do. It's silky smooth. Although there's no sound whatsoever, I can barely hear it. But it's really smooth. Just it's smoothness in the way it delivers the power. So it's really easy to manage and ride. So if you want a first bigger bike, a first powerful bike over the A2 limit, this is quite a good one. It's powerful, but just not too much. Now I'm going to do something really stupid. I'm going to slow down here. Okay, this is first, this is 2nd gear. Let's try the higher range now. Whoa! Oh, this can go at high revs. No way! No, this is not a lazy machine whatsoever. Wow, this is... Yeah! This is what I want. Remember what I said about the XJ6, the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? This has much of the same. Only the engine has more. Well, it does have more on paper, more horsepower, and I believe more torque, so it's normal that I feel that it has more. And even though there's always power around 7-ish, it seems to have a bit more. There's always power and there's always acceleration, never feels dead except under 3K. But over 7 it does go a bit more lively. Do I want to overtake this guy? I do. Because I can see through the trees here that no one's coming. And now I'm going to test out that fat tire at the rear. In the mid-range, like I was now, it does accelerate. It doesn't really slingshot you forward, but it still accelerates. So if you want to just accelerate rapidly, mid-range. If you want to get slingshotted forwards, drop one down and just poof, off you go. Like so. Want to see? Does this have ABS? It doesn't. Okay, even though after the KTM 1290 all bikes seem slow. Oh wow, this corners beautifully. And I'm leaning forward a bit because that's my natural position. This is a very neutral handling bike, meaning you're just halfway, you're not straight up, you're just slightly forwards. Brakes are good. I'll do a test brake up ahead, but now I'm just enjoying myself. Oh, this is this is good. This is a really good machine. I wonder if I can get my knee down on this one. Not on this corner, definitely. Look at how it doesn't complain being at high revs. I like it. Just like the MT-07, this is right up my alley. It's not too powerful. It's exciting, but not too much. Awesome. And cornering, it's really stable. You just lie it down and it stays there. Just look how slowly I'm going. No hands, no issue. So this tells me it probably also has a relatively low center of gravity, or at least it's not too high. And I really like the stability. The way it corners, that fat tire at the rear really helps making it stable. You feel safe on the corners. That's why I'm beginning to say this is nice for the first big one. Or even for someone who really knows his deal, he's going to be scraping everything. Hey, this is quite a nice machine. I like it quite a lot. It's and fuel consumption wise, I'm doing 5.6 and I was going uphill in high revs. Before that I was doing 4.8, which is, no, I was doing 4.4, which is very well. This is very good actually, considering that I'm not going to be riding like this every day. The average fuel consumption will be under 5, which, while not mind-blowing, it's still pretty good, especially if you can, whenever you want, do this. Let's try the brakes. Try not to crash. Woo! I lifted the rear wheel quite a lot. And that was not full brakes. Wow! Whoa, these brakes may look tiny because the discs look really small, but they are really strong. That's awesome! I am not ashamed to say this has KTM sized brakes, at least front ones. Wow! I lifted the rear wheel. Okay, granted, I'm going a bit downhill, but still. Oh, also, lifting the rear wheel is because I'm seated a bit more forward than I'd normally would be. I was skidding all the way down. I couldn't stop for the red lights. That's the stupid thing about this pavement. You can't stop even if you want to. And yes, that was me skidding all the way with the rear wheel and still stable. More points to this one. Seriously. This is a cracking bike. Orca GT didn't really like the CBR because it didn't really do much, but he's used to a super sport. This is not a super sport. This is a naked, this is a street fighter. And to ride around in the city, it's really good. The steering's really light. I'm going to go slow because I don't want to crash, but look, it's really light. Yeah, there is a center of gravity that's low. I can feel it now. As I get more experience, I begin to understand feel these things. And this one really has a low one because I feel the same thing as on my bike, which is when you're trying to lean over left and right, there's a bit of a resistance. It kind of wants to stay put, which helps when you're cornering and gives you confidence, but makes quick inputs like this a bit harder because it takes a bit more. For example, you want to do a little zigzag and it takes a bit more time, but it's just a feeling of heaviness on this. But that's a disadvantage. The advantage is that it makes you feel awesome when you're cornering because the bike feels planted, really planted. Let me get out of this, guys, here. And so, what did I cover? Steering is really nice. I'm seated like all nakeds. There's nothing in front of me, even though I can barely see the dash below, and the mirrors are nice also. I'm comfortable. The seat is a bit stiff and does seem to slip a bit. So I'm not sure how it would do for longer periods of time. Corners absolutely magnificently. Big fat tire at the rear helps with that. Suspension is very comfortable, absorbs everything really well. Might be a bit too soft though, because the front does dive a little bit, but it's not dramatic, it's just a feeling. Then again, the rear suspension, I checked it, is at the second click from softest, so there's room for improvement. I like the dash. On this one you can actually read the rev counter. Even though I'd still prefer a needle instead of that digital thing. And riding around like this, absolutely awesome. Let's see how it does cityscaping. So, I had to rest a little bit because on the Portuguese channel I tried another brake test and I lifted the rear wheel quite a lot. And so when I came crashing down, that hurt. So yeah, these brakes are awesome! Awesome brakes! So it's got really good brakes. I hope ABS gets rid of the rear wheel lifting up. Would be very useful, but I think it does. Awesome brakes, very nice engine. I'm not going to say awesome engine. It is a 780 something horsepower engine with power everywhere. So it's a very good engine, very balanced, very smooth, and not as exciting as it could be if it had all the power on the higher range. But it is plenty exciting and plenty rideable. Look, I've been in town on purpose through all the little streets I know to try it out, and this is easily as easy to ride as my NC700X, probably maybe even easier. The steering's really light, and in traffic this is going to work just as well. Doesn't feel heavy at all, feels just slightly heavier than, say, the CB650F. And so this is a cracking bike. This is a cracking street fighter. If we weren't in this kind of cash crunch, everyone, you'd see loads of these running around town, because this is a fantastic little bike. Look, here, hard left. Throttle is very sensitive, does take some getting used to. Ah! Completely comfortable. Even more than on mine, which is very impressive. Wow, I'm in love. I am in love, and I don't like naked bikes all that much. I must have the CB650F somehow. Doesn't have DCT, or I could sell a leg. Maybe if I sell a kidney? I could sell a kidney to buy a 650F, maybe. Or one of my childs. Maybe the house. Nah, there's a problem with the rain. I'll have to get some way to get one of these. Look, 2000 RPM, and I'm perfectly content with it. And now, I want to overtake this guy. Drop down 2. Let's go. Should have dropped down 3 gears, not 2. So at between 2 and 5 accelerates slowly, okay? But it does accelerate. There's none of that it's going to stall, oh my god moments. It doesn't seem to want to stall, which is pretty awkward. Doesn't seem to ever want to stall. So if you're even at 2000 RPM, you're leaning over, and then suddenly you decide, oh, I'm going to drop, I need a bit of throttle, you give it and it goes. It doesn't say no. And even being a naked, wind protection is not that bad. It's not that good either. Could really use a little windscreen here, but this big should be enough. Very nice on the open road, really nice in the city. This is, yeah, I like this one. I like this one quite a lot. And with 87 horsepower, this will get up to 200 kph easily. Probably a bit over. Not that you'd want to, but it will. And you can probably do some leanage and knee dragging with it with not much of an issue. Cracking bike. Well done, Honda. So I just ended the test ride. Listen, when this gets over 7000 RPM, it just goes nuts. It's a completely different bike. Awesome. It really goes fast. After the outro, I'm going to put a small clip of me pushing this one slightly more on the Portuguese channel so you guys can see the difference. Looks great. Rides beautifully. Big fat ass tire at the rear makes it corner beautifully. Incredibly strong brakes, but really easy to manage. Easy to manage at slow speeds, exciting at high speeds. It's perfect. KJ Route.